Hi friends, most of you watch my channel without a subscription. Subscribe if you like my videos. Have a great vacation.
Spent 2 hours in the bridal shop trying on another dress. The dresses looked great on her slim silhouette, but she was careful about her choice, for the most important day of her life was just around the corner. Too simple, like a queen, and I want to be a princess, she declared. And this one is too modest, not fluffy enough, Judah exclaimed again, pickily. Finally, after many attempts, she found it. Her dream dress, just like Judith, delicate, sweet, beautiful. At that moment, Judith realized how happy she was. In 2 weeks, she is getting married to the man she loves more than anything in the world. Judith is 22. She grew up in a wealthy family. Since childhood, she was attached to her parents, who tried to give their daughter everything. The girl had a great upbringing, good manners and education. Perhaps that is why the money of her father, a wealthy entrepreneur in their city, did not spoil her. She was an intelligent girl with a good heart. Honey, apply to law school. You'll become a first-class lawyer, and then I'll open the door for you to my business. The time will come when I will have to entrust my business to someone, and you are smart and responsible. You have business acumen. You can do it. Her father, Mr. Atkinson, encouraged her. If only he knew how much Judith disliked the law, which seemed too boring. She was fascinated by the arts and wanted to be a sculptor, a photographer, an architect at the same time. But to please her father, she enrolled in law school and forced herself to study those tedious articles of law. In her 3rd year, she couldn't take it anymore, and she begged her father, "Daddy, law school is not for me. I can't stand my life doing something I don't love. I can't stand it." His daughter's sincere plea melted Mr. Atkinson's heart, though he realized he was losing his only chance to turn the business over to a trustworthy person. But his love for his daughter was stronger than his personal ambitions. Judith left law school and enrolled in an art school. That was her passion, a perpetual flight of imagination. Her passion for the arts was so strong that she became a photographer while still in law school. With the help of her father, the girl purchased a small office and set it up as a photo studio. Here she met Aaron, her future husband. The young, good-looking man came into the studio in the morning on his way to work. It was a beautiful summer day, promising to be warm and sunny. The university exams were over, and Judith was completely free until the fall. Now, Judith can enjoy her favorite activity all day long. "Good morning. I need an ID photo. It won't take long, right?" the stranger asked. No, it's about 10 minutes, replied Judith, happy to have such a good start to the day. Though ID photos were far from the most interesting things she could do in the world of photography. "Here, it's done." Judith handed the young man the envelope with the photos. "Thanks. I think I look pretty good in the photo," the guy said cheerfully. Judith couldn't contain her smile and immediately noticed how intently he was looking at her with his deep green eyes. "I'm funny, am I? And you're not funny, but you're unbelievably beautiful," the guy suddenly continued the conversation. The girl smiled again and blushed. "I'm Aaron. What's your name?" The guy seized the perfect moment to introduce himself. "Judith," the girl said. Usually, she never introduced herself or gave her phone number to clients. But something was different today. Perhaps the morning was so beautiful, or the young man was too attractive. "Can I come over sometimes, just to chat?" asked Aaron. "Yes, sure. I'd be glad to see you here again," Judith replied. Throughout the day, the girl caught herself thinking about Aaron and wishing he would come into her photo studio again. She didn't even realize that Aaron's thoughts were the same. It seemed as if someone above had stretched an invisible thread between them that couldn't be broken. Aaron couldn't help it and decided to go to Judith's the next morning, and the next day again, and again. It was obvious to both of them that they were attracted to each other by some inexplicable feeling. A little later, they would call it love. A year of beautiful dates, travels, tender kisses, and tight embraces flew by unnoticed. On the anniversary of the day they met, Aaron proposed to his love. Judith said yes without hesitation. She had always thought happiness was an abstract concept invented by unhappy people. But now she realized that it wasn't. Happiness is when there is a person you love, and it is mutual. And this person is there for her, always and forever. Aaron was lucky. Not only had he managed to find a key to Judith's heart, but also to find an approach to her parents. He was 25 years old, educated and already working as a chief accountant in a big commercial company. Aaron was different from others because he comes from an ordinary middle-income family and achieved everything himself. Noticing that his daughter loved Aaron, Mr. Atkinson cheered up. "That's who I can entrust the business to," the man said of his future son-in-law. The pleasant wedding preparations flew by, and the long-awaited wedding day came. Finally, it was time for Judith's snow-white, airy, dreamlike dress and Aaron's stylish navy blue suit. The day was full of joy and tenderness. There was excitement and a feeling of boundless happiness when the couple was pronounced husband and wife. The wedding took place at Judith and Aaron's favorite vacation spot, a fashionable tourist retreat outside of the city. It was a great party. Congratulations, music, jokes, laughter, and gifts didn't stop until late at night. The main gift was from Judith's parents. They and Aaron bought a beautiful house and gave the newlyweds the keys to their own place. It seemed like there would be no end to the celebration. Judith and Aaron were already dreaming of the moment they would be alone. "Let's run away from everyone," Aaron suggested with a smile. "Let's go," replied Judith firmly. When they walked into the room prepared for their first wedding night, they were pleasantly surprised. Aaron asked to decorate the room, and the result exceeded expectations. "I have another gift for you." And Aaron pulled an envelope out of his pocket with tickets and a vacation trip for two. It was supposed to be their honeymoon trip. "Aaron, you're a magician," exclaimed a happy Judith. "I have a gift for you too. Close your eyes and don't open them until I tell you," Judith whispered in her husband's ear. She knew that Aaron dreamed of mastering scuba diving. She put essential diving accessories and a certificate for a year's training at a diving school in the gift box. She didn't want Aaron to find the box early, so she put it on top of the closet. If she could see into the future, even for a second, she certainly wouldn't have made this fatal mistake. But alas. As she stood on the chair to get the box, Judith accidentally stepped on the hem of her dress. Her feet became entangled in the many folds, and she lost her balance and fell, hitting her head. There was a loud thud. Aaron shuddered, not immediately realizing what had happened. Suddenly he saw Judith lying by the closet, her head, her dress, and the floor stained red. She was motionless. Aaron was horrified, and everything inside him went cold. He couldn't control himself, and screamed as loudly as he could. Relatives and some guests who had not yet left heard the scream and ran into the room. The rest was a blur. The shocked faces of the people who ran into the room, the ambulance, the doctors, the stretcher, and the hand of his beloved which he holds tightly in his own. The self-loathing was growing more and more intense. He cursed himself for obeying Judith when she asked him to close his eyes. He didn't sense the worst was going to happen. How was it possible? They'd always believed there was a strong, invisible bond between them. So why had it broken so suddenly at the first test of life? What if Judith didn't make it? After all, she'd hit her head. Aaron was about to lose his mind with these thoughts and chase them away. The doctors had done all they could, but Judith fell into a coma. Judith's parents and Aaron persuaded the doctors, and they allowed the young man to stay in the ward with his beloved. He was at the ward all the time, and he even slept holding Judith's hand. Every day he prayed as devoutly as women usually do. Men rarely pray this way. They are usually embarrassed to do it, but not Aaron. By all means, he wanted his beloved back, and a miracle happened. Soon the girl's life returned to her. Early morning, suddenly, Aaron felt Judith's hand tremble in his and move. "Doctor, nurse, she's awake!" Aaron ran into the hallway and shouted. After another moment, the girl slowly opened her eyes. "Judith, honey," Aaron wanted to hug her. "Mister, calm down. Are you crazy? Get out of the room. I have to examine the patient," Dr. Smith said sternly. The nurse nodded her head silently. And Aaron had no choice but to leave the room. Spending half an hour in the hallway seemed like an eternity to him. Aaron waited for the doctor like he was God, who would surely heal his Judith. And when the door opened, he wanted to hug the doctor if he told him the good news. "Dr. Smith, how is she? Will she live?" Aaron asked the doctor. "Don't worry so much. Now, I can say with absolute certainty that yes, she will live, but it will take a long time to recover. A brain injury is not an abrasion or a bruise. Be patient," the doctor reassured him. Can I see her?" Aaron rushed back into the room. "She won't be able to talk and express the emotions you want right now, and she definitely shouldn't be stressed out. You're already allowed a lot in this hospital. You're spending an unacceptable amount of time with the patient. When she is transferred from the ICU to general medicine ward, you can visit her there," the doctor said in a serious tone. "Dr. Smith, can I see her for just 5 minutes? I need to see her eyes," Aaron pleaded. The doctor could not resist. "Darling, I'm happy you've come to your senses. Everything will be all right now. Look at me, please," Aaron whispered, kissing Judith's hand. The girl stopped her incomprehensible gaze on Aaron for a few seconds, and then abruptly turned her face to the side. Judith, look at me," he repeated. "I told you the patient wasn't ready to communicate yet, and time is over. Let's leave the patient alone and let her have her rest. Let's go. The girl will be under medical supervision," Dr. Smith reassured him. Aaron obeyed and dejectedly went home, but not to their new home. He couldn't be there without Judith and went to his apartment, where he used to live before he met her. He tossed around the apartment like a wounded animal. He couldn't understand why Judith had indifferently turned away from him. Yes, the doctor told him it was not yet time for emotions, but Aaron felt that something was wrong, as if the invisible connection between them had been broken. Unfortunately, Aaron's premonitions have proved to be correct. Judith was recovering, and soon, step by step, she was coming back to life. And Aaron was horrified when he realized that she didn't remember him. She had forgotten him, forgotten their love. She remembered her parents and other relatives and talked to them, but she had no idea who Aaron was. The girl even asked her father, "Daddy, who is this guy who comes to see me every day?" "Darling, it's your husband, Aaron. Don't you remember him?" her father asked worriedly. But Judith only shook her head. "Daddy, I'm not married, and anyways, I don't have time for that right now. I need to finish law school and get a good job," she said without a shadow of a doubt. Judith's words shocked her father. He tried to come to his senses for a couple of seconds. "Darling, it's been a year since you left law school. Your heart craved the arts, so you went to art school." Mr. Atkinson tried to evoke memories in Judith, but to no avail. The girl had completely forgotten the last 3 years. The The time when she had drastically changed her life, becoming a different person. "Doctor, is that possible? What should we do now?" Mr. Atkinson and Aaron exclaimed with horror. "Yes, it happens. Partial amnesia is one of the consequences of a head injury. She came out of the coma. It's a miracle, and her memory may or may not come back. Time will tell," the doctor answered. 3 months later, the girl was discharged from the hospital. She was in a good mood and chatted cheerfully with her parents and relatives. She treated Aaron as if he wanted to be her friend. She would treat a maid, a security guard, or a driver the same way. It was like a knife to Aaron's heart, but he didn't give up and decided to do whatever it took to restore Judith's memory. He had to do whatever it took to help her remember him and their love. He decided to take a risk and offered Judith to live together in the house that was their wedding gift. But they lived in different rooms. Here she is, his Judith, so close, but so far away. How could she not feel anything when she is nearby? After all, only 4 months ago, they were ardent lovers and couldn't survive even a couple of days without each other. And now, Aaron thought. No, why, we were. I still love her just as much as I did before, Aaron exclaimed. He did not give up and continued to make new attempts to win his beloved back. He showed Judith pictures from their wedding ceremony, but Judith looked at them indifferently, as if it happened to someone else. Aaron didn't understand how it was possible to forget it. Just put it out of her mind like an old, unwanted thing. "That's you, Judith. Do you remember how long it took you to choose that wedding dress? How you promised to love in joy and sorrow?" said Aaron, hoping she would remember something. He told her about the wedding, and he kept asking, "Do you remember?" But nothing touched Judith's heart. She was only annoyed with Aaron. "Please, stop saying that. Remember this, remember that. I'm sick of it. I don't know what I'm doing here. What's it all for? Why do I have to live in this house with you and not at home with my parents?" the girl said nervously. "Judith, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be annoying," Aaron replied with a sad sigh. Even though he constantly tried to please the girl, it did not bring back the memories she had lost. She became irritable and intemperate. She got angry about everything, from the furnishings in the house to the color of her teacup. And one day, when Aaron came home from work, Judith said, "I'm going back to my parents' house. I can't hear any more of your suffering and your love stories. I don't remember you. Period," Judith said firmly. Half an hour later, she left, slamming the door loudly, and Aaron felt as if the door of his heart slammed shut and would never open again. Aaron wanted to scream in helplessness, but his voice was gone. That was it. He lost Judith. During sleepless nights, Aaron wondered what he did wrong, what he did to deserve such an attitude, but he couldn't find a reason. "Don't give up, don't give up," his inner voice shouted. For a moment, Judith's face flashed before Aaron's eyes in her wedding dress. So tender, beloved, such a dear face. No, he wouldn't give up. No way. All he had to do was wait. Judith's parents were upset that she had left Aaron, but there was nothing they could do about it. It was her choice, albeit the wrong one. One morning, Judith shocked her parents by announcing that she wanted to go back to law school. "But, honey, you left it long ago. You didn't like it there. Besides, after all this time, you can't just go back and continue your studies," Mr. Atkinson tried to dissuade her. "Well, Daddy, you have so many acquaintances and connections, someone will help. I have to continue my studies and graduate," Judith pleaded with her father. Every door in the city opened before the important businessman. The door of the law school was no exception. Judith was accepted again, but the first few months of her studies disgusted her so much that she wanted to escape. So she did. "Darling, do you have any idea what this makes me look like? I negotiated to get you accepted back into a top law school, and now my reputation may be affected," her father said with resentment in his voice. "Daddy, tell me how it was before. Didn't I already leave law school once? Judith suddenly asked. Sweetheart, did you remember something? The father wondered, hoping for a miracle. No, Dad, it's on a subconscious level. It just seems like I've experienced the feeling of a wrong decision once before, the girl said quietly. Even though it was just a feeling, Mr. Atkinson was happy, a small step toward regaining her memory. Judith left law school again, where she had re-enrolled after she lost her memory, and now she decided to live on her own, renting an apartment in the city. After a short time, her interest in sculpture and photography awakened. Judith decided to re-enroll in the art department at the university where she had studied before her amnesia. She felt again that this was her passion, her space in which she felt comfortable. Dad, let's buy a small office where I can work on photography and sculpture, Judith said. Mr. Atkinson was overjoyed. After all, his daughter decided to abruptly change her life as before. She was gradually becoming the Judith who had once met Aaron and fallen in love with him. Judith, sweetheart, we already have an office and it's waiting for its owner, Father replied cheerfully. Since then, Judith started a new life. She began to do what she loved. Her hands gave life to sculptures and beautiful pictures. She arranged photo shoots and exhibitions. Judith's work did not go unnoticed. She had her regular customers, connoisseurs of the revived talent. They say love strikes unexpectedly. A real miracle happened in Judith's life unexpectedly too. It was an ordinary evening. She was going through her old stuff, and suddenly she found a vow she had written herself in the cafe. She swore that she would always love and marry Aaron. Judith couldn't remember how or when it happened, but now she felt the same way she had felt at that moment. Joy and happiness that she could cherish and never lose. Her hands reached for the phone and she dialed the number Aaron gave her when she left him. Aaron, would you like to meet and talk? I have something for you, Judith said mysteriously. Yes, text me the address and I'll be there, Aaron replied. He was surprised when he heard the address of the photo studio where he and Judith had once met. Aaron decided he would never ask another, remember? Or don't remember? Question again. But he would win Judith's heart again. When he walked into the studio, he saw his Judith, the same Judith he saw here for the first time. Beautiful, smiling, gentle. Hey Aaron, sorry I haven't called in a while. Look what I found. And Judith handed Aaron a piece of paper with a vow on it. He smiled and said, now look what I have, and handed Judith another piece of paper. It was the same vow, written in the same cafe. The same words, only written in Aaron's hand. But how did you know that I found it? Judith wondered. I didn't know, but our vow is always with me, Aaron replied, and uttered after a moment. I'm asking you on a date tonight. Are you up for it? Judith was embarrassed and answered softly, yes. Aaron was happy. He never lost hope of reviving their love, and that would happen, for sure. Where should I invite Judith? I think I know. To the places where our relationship once began, Aaron decided. He invited Judith to the nice restaurant where they used to spend time together and play chocolate roulette, eating tasty and not so tasty candies, picking them out of a box randomly. Judith didn't remember the place, but she suddenly felt a pleasant, warm emotion. It was like watching an old but favorite movie again. And then he took Judith to the shore of the lake where they had once decided to swim every month after hearing a story about the eternal youth of a 70-year-old waiter. Judith looked at the water and smiled, and Aaron thought of that May morning when the water in the lake was still cold, but the couple decided to swim, and then they ran to warm up in the car. Judith held out her cold hands to Aaron, and he warmed them with his breath. Soon, Aaron and Judith began to see each other every day. Judith didn't realize when it happened, but she thought about Aaron all the time, and always looked forward to every meeting with him. After a little more time, they began a new life journey together, and that life journey will depend only on them. But hopefully, love will live in their hearts forever. No matter what happens, take care of each other.